Okay, let's take a look at the homework for the second quarter, and this is Monday's homework for week 1. So if we take a look at the fraction decimal percent, the first part is regrouping and simplifying practice. So for the fractions, the first part, in order to regroup, we need to multiply and then we need to add. So we take the denominator times the whole number. 2 times 5 is 10. And then we add that 10 plus 1 is going to be 11. And that stays over the denominator of 2. So 5 and 1/2 is the same as 11 halves. So 5 times 4 is going to be 20. And 20 plus 2 will give us 22. And it stays over the denominator of 5. So 22 fifths. So looking at 18 thirds, well, starting with the denominator of thirds, we're going to look at multiples of 3. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So we see 18, and we need to separate 18 into groups of 3, and we need to see how many times that happens. So 18 divided by 3 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 18 divided by 3 will give us 6. And then 18 minus 18, there is no remainder out of 3. So the answer is just going to be 6 with no fraction left over. So there's no remainder, so there is no fraction over here. So 23 divided by 4, 23 fourths. So look at fourths. Yeah, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So 24 is too much, so we can't use that. So we're going to use 20. So 23 minus 20 will give us our remainder. And 20 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 groups of 4. So 23 divided by 4 is going to be 5 whole numbers. And then we're left with 3 left over out of 4. So if we simplify this fraction, we're going to divide, and then we're going to subtract to see what the remainder is. So 23 divided by 4 is 5 whole numbers with the remainder of 3 over 4 left. So write a decimal percent in fraction for the shaded squares to total squares in the model below. So we count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 shaded out of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 4 shaded out of 10. And if we write that as a decimal, that's going to be 0.4 tenths. So we have our decimal, and then as a percent, if we do times 10 times 10, that would give us our hundredths. So 4 times 10 is 40, and then 10 times 10 is 100. So we convert the decimal to a percent. So this is going to be 40%. We have a fraction, but we need a simplified fraction. So the other way we can simplify this here, so that was getting our percents. The other way we can simplify this is breaking down the common factors. So we look at factors of 10, and we're going to get 2 times 5 is 10. And then we use that same factor for 4. 2 times 2 is 4. So the common factor, 2 and 2, we take that out, and we're left with 2 fifths. So 2 fifths equals 4 tenths, which equals 40%. So what is the decimal percent and simplified fraction for the shaded squares to the total? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like that is 25 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then 10 times 10. So it looks like we have 25 shaded out of 100. So 25 shaded out of 100. So that's going to be 25 hundredths or 25%. And that's also going to be 25 hundredths. So we also need to simplify this fraction. So we look at common factors of 25 and 100. And 25 does divide into 100. So it's 25 times 4 and then 25 times 1. The common factor is 25. We can simplify that to 1/4. The other part of the model is actually we can break this up into, instead of breaking it up into little tiny squares, we could also break this up into 4 corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have 1 shaded out of 4 total. So if we simplify that fraction, 25 out of 100, we're also going to get 1/4. So which decimal is equivalent to 5 halves? So if we have 5 halves, if we take a look at this here, we got 2 halves, 2 halves, and 2 halves. No, we don't have that many. We only have 1 half left over. 2, 4, and then 5. There's a couple ways we could look at this. Here's a whole number, here's a whole number, and then here's a half. So just breaking this fraction down, we're going to end up with 2 and 1/2. The other way to do this is the top of the fraction goes inside division and the bottom goes out. So 5 is divided by 2. 2 divides into 5 2 whole times. 2 times 2 is 4. We have 1 left over, bring the 0 down, and then 2 divides into 10 5 times. So either way we look at it, either 2 and 1/2 or 2.5, we're going to get the same answer. Go ahead and circle it. So welcome back. Let's take a look at Wednesday's homework for week 1 for second quarter. So we have the expression 16 divided by 12. So 16 divided by 12, the top number, 16, goes inside division. The bottom number goes outside. So we've got 16 divided by 12. And so 16 divided by 12, 16 divided by 12. All right, and then we're going to take a look at the next part of it. Well, 16 is divided by 12. The way I taught this in class is 16 on top of the fraction goes in front for division, and then 16 goes inside for long division. So 16 divided by 12, we already have this one, and now we need to look for 16 goes first, and then 12 goes second for the expression. So these are backwards. 12 divided by 16, 12 divided by 16. So 16 goes inside, 12 is outside, and then if we take a look at it, both of those answers, those expressions, also represent 16 divided by 12. So a point is plotted at 75%. So 75%, the percent means over 100. And that simplifies, 75% simplifies to 3/4. So with that idea in mind, what fraction is equivalent to 225%? Well, let's go ahead and remove that here. And we're going to take the percent and then put it over 100. So if you look at all your answers down below, it looks like we need 4 as our factor down below. So let's figure out 25 times 4, and then 25 times what number is going to equal 225? So if we put 10 in here, that's going to equal 250. And if we put 5 in there, we multiply, that's going to be 125. And this is times 25, so that's 125 out of 100. This is 250 out of 100. But if we multiply 25 times 9, that's going to equal 225. And just using the idea of taking out that factor of 25, if we simplify it, we should end up with 9/4. So convert 4/5 to a decimal and a percent. So the strategy is we can shade in 4 out of 5. So if we look at our blocks here, we got a 10 by 10. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we shade in 4, if we shade in 4 out of 5, and then we shade in 4 out of 5, so now we've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So we have 80 shaded out of 10 times 10. We got 80 shaded out of 100, so the decimal is going to be 80 hundredths, or as a percent, we move it 1, 2 places to the right, and then we put the percent symbol on there, or we shade it in 80%. All right, and we got last day of the homework for the week is Thursday. We look at the second quarter and week 1. So write the equivalent fraction for 85 hundredths and then simplify it. So 85, because we have 2 decimal place values, we're just going to put it over tenths hundredths. So that's how we make it into a fraction, but now we need to look at a common factor and then reduce it to lowest terms. Since we see a 5 here, we know we can divide this number by 5, and 5 also works with 100. So now we just need to see what do we multiply 5 by to get 100, and what do we multiply 5 by to get 85. So we know that's 20, and then let's check 85 divided by 5. So 85 divided by 5 is going to give us 17. So if we make a fraction out of this, 85 hundredths, if we take out that common factor of 5 and 5, we are left with our simplified fraction of 7/20. David found that 7/10 of the students in the class have cell phones. Which decimal represents 7/10? So this is just a place value issue here. So we have tenths right here. If this was hundredths, then we put it over here. But because this is tenths, we're going to put 7 in the tenths place value, and then we just fill in a 0 for hundredths. So we have 0, 7/10. 7/10 is equal to 0.7 in the tenths place value, and then for a griddable, we've put in the 0 for hundredths. Order these rational numbers from greatest to least. So let's put them into order on the number line first. So the first one, we're going to go to -3. So we're going to go 1, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go past it a little bit more. So we got -3.25. All right, then we're going to go +2, and then past +2 to +2.8. 1, 2, And then closer to 3, we're going to go 0.8. And then we have the decimal at 3, or the point at 3. Then we have negative 4.5. So we're going to go all the way to negative 4, and then halfway past negative 4.1/2. So the greatest is going to be on the positive side. The least is going to be on the negative side. So we're going to start over here, going from 3 to negative 4.5. So we got 3, 2.8, we're counting down, negative 3.25, and then negative 4.1/2. Now, the negative numbers are going to be in the opposite order because they're negative. They're not counting up from 0, they're counting down to get to 0. Greatest and least. All right, the last question for the homework for this week. Using the model below, determine which percent is equivalent to the benchmark fraction. So we have 1/4. This would be 1/2. This would be 3/4. So if we have 100%, what would this be here? So we could set up 1/4 is equal to 100. So we could ask ourselves, what percent would go in here? Using our factors of 100. So how do we go from 4, 1/4, or how do we go from 4 to get us to 100? 4 times 25 is 100, and 1 times 25 is 25. So this fraction, 1/4, is equal to 25 out of 100. And that percent is going to be 25%. We take away the 100, put the percent symbol on there, and we have 25%. So make sure you click turn in, and then wait for the second blue button for submit, and let's get that turned in.